Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a super awesome guest today. He's a storyteller and a professional cook who has a plethora of short films, good stories, and dry puns. Hailing from the incredible land of India, he loves to see life under a microscope. If you enjoy seeing life through the lens of nostalgia and childlike innocence, check out his work. Please join me in welcoming Abhi Murali. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction.
You ready for 20 questions?
I am.
Okay, here we go. Number one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So I am a professional photographer and filmmaker who enjoys creating stories, something that could be related with the human mindset, or it could be something that makes me happy, either or. And I'm also a professional cook, so I cook and I cook stories.
Great. Yeah, Abby comes to us as a recommendation from a previous guest, and we don't know each other yet, but I'm glad to go through these questions with you. So, number two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Ooh, I would say creativity is one of the strongest aspects growing up, one of the strongest key piece of knowledge that I had growing up. And one of the best knowledge that I got from experts in different fields is humility. No matter how much you look up to the sky and how much you soar up to the sky, if your feet aren't on the ground, you're gonna fall.
Great, I like that. Okay, number three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Cooking is obviously to earn money to have a sustainable life in Vancouver, while photography, it makes me happy. It's a medium that I can use to get the emotions, get that splotch of color that made me swim in an emotion that I just couldn't express in any other art form. So, in a way, it is a place where I can be nude. So, photography and films helps me connect with the world that I so endearingly love. So,
Great. Yeah, that's great. When I think of photography, I think of the art world, and we've had some great art world guests on. Sunny Asu was on as an earlier guest, and then Dr. Garnett Hertz was also a great art-based guest as well. Check out those episodes. Number
um,
four. Oh, sorry. Number four, what does your future look like?
I would say a full content life where going out to buy milk, buy cereals, or they don't have any expectations. All there is, it's just a box of cereal that can be opened, and there's no past, there's no future. I would probably say the future is about being so happy that I can look back to the present and say, I made it.
Nice, I like that. So number five, we say is unique to this podcast. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
That's quite a deep one, honestly. If you have to look at place as just the word, there's no place like home. As common as that quote is, that's one of the sayings that I have etched in my heart when I'm doing a film, when I'm taking photograph with a model, with any particular non-actor, or even if it's just a friend outside. If I give them that notion, if I give them that emotion of feeling like they're home, they can do anything, they can be anything, and that molds them into knowing themselves as much it molds me to knowing my own self as well. Because when you're at home, you can be a superhero with a cape, or you can be a space pirate.
Nice. And number six, if you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Ooh, the first thing I would give my former younger self would be a really tight hug, something that I did lack growing up. Because all I knew was how to make sure that my arms were up and ready for fight, and not something as much as ready with an open arm. The other thing I would easily, without a shadow of a doubt, a piece of advice would be much more. I would just slap some senses in my younger self to know for a fact that All I needed was a tighter shoe to stand tall without falling, and eccentricity, being odd and not fitting in. These are all these are all aspects of life that I did go through, and instead of fighting, I could have embraced it a little bit more and just be myself.
Great. And number seven, what's a day in your life like?
So since my parents are in India, the time zone is pretty wonky. So one of the common things I do would be to give them a quick call in the morning, and after that I go out, taking photographs, whatever catches my eye, whether it's a light or whether it's a person, and then going to work, having fun with menus, dealing with the different kinds of people, and making sure there's a good service going on, and then coming back home knowing that not only my wallet is full, so is my heart.
Nice. And number eight, lifelong learning is a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
That's such a double-edged sword, to be fair. With such wealth of information that we have at our hands, right? From either, even if it's just take a single app like Instagram, or if we take something like Facebook, or even as new one as Threads, there's such a wealth of information. I did go down the rabbit hole of wanting to be updated with every single thing that's happening till I realized a lot of them do not affect me or the life around me or the environment around me. Something as something as big as the wildfire would be the one that I would be keeping track of, versus something way back in a small town in India wouldn't be something that I would be concerned of. So for me, it's to pick the ones that actually affects the life and the environment around me, and then start building little blocks around it, and by that way I stay updated with the life.
Yeah, just to note for our audience here in Vancouver, we're dealing with these wildfires based on climate outside of Vancouver and the smaller cities and in the rural areas. It's definitely a sign of something that's happened. Number nine, what tools do you use? Are you a digital nomad?
Professionally, I would have to say it's impossible to be a digital nomad if I look at it through the lens of a tech. I would love where in the future we can work from home as a tech and then send it online. But since it's quite far-fetched, I would say I enjoy being in that moment, even with photography, even with filmmaking. There's so much importance put on that place instead of this, and I would consider more of myself being squared in that one particular place than traveling around.
Great. And number 10, halfway, how do you deal with work-life balance?
Ooh, well, it's a tough one. Some days are busier and some days aren't. So I do enjoy a uh, lovely time playing Pokemon Platinum, especially because that's one of the best games that ever came out. Uh, I also love spending time with friends and going out for new cafes and desserts, finding new stuff that I haven't eaten before, I haven't seen before, and having myself being almost gullible to a point where I just enjoy it with no repercussions. And in the end, I one of the little things that I do enjoy is lying in a patch of grass, staring at the sky, doing absolutely nothing, and it completely rejuvenates me.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear you bring up gaming. In one of our earlier episodes, we had a gamer on Zelda Sauce. Please check her out on Twitch. Number 11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
I would have most likely graduated from engineering college. I did computer engineering. I had to drop out. Uh, I would have completed engineering, and I would have been an absolutely abysmal engineer. So the screws and gears of my head would have been loose trying to make sure that the computer works right.
Grade and 12, what would you not like to do with your career?
What would I not like to do?
Hmm.
Ooh, I would probably say not be complacent, not be comfortable, just because I am. I am having enough space in my bed that I can stretch my arms doesn't mean that my life is complete.
Nice. And 13, what's your favorite word, quote, or sentence?
One of my favorite quotes is from the first house special of Robin Williams, where he talks about that we all have a little spark of madness, and if we lose it, we are nothing. And that resonates with me in a much more spiritual level than any other quote, any other poem, or any other prose did.
Nice. And a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
So this is something I had by default used it so for so many times. It's I'll do it tomorrow, no matter what, no matter how easy or arduous the task is. There is this notion that tomorrow it's gonna be easier, and I had always placed most of my hopes, my ideas, and my so-called energy in the tomorrow, and I always left it for tomorrow. And every time when tomorrow comes, it turns into today, and now I wait for tomorrow. So the the least favorite quote of my life would be "I'll do it tomorrow."
If you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
Learning
What keeps you up at night?
that no matter how much I try, I would never be able to read all the books that is available in the entire world, and that makes me excited and scared.
What's a dream you're chasing?
I would want to be happy. One of the biggest dream is as happy as the life around me is, and as happy as I am. One of the biggest dreams I always keep chasing is I tasted when I could produce smiles and happiness to some other person, be it with my photographs, with my jokes, or just being with my personality. And every time I had given that gift to someone, I absolutely felt fulfilled, and that's a dream that I keep chasing no matter what. It's like being a student of life and wanting to learn what happiness is, so I can provide it to people.
Great. And final stretch here. What inspires you?
And kindness, one of the main things would be kindness among people, and this is not about staying positive even when it rains, but more also dancing in the rain, knowing that the world around that might end at any moment, and that's fine. We are still just there, a minuscule part of the universe. We could either survive or we could die.
And any advice you'd like to share?
It's to just there's this one thing that I always wanted to say is we all have a little ember inside of us, and we wait for that special moment, for that special occasion to let it ablaze so we can see the world around, and the world would see the fact that, oh, look at this person who is burning so bright. But we wait for so long for that special moment, for that perfect moment to burn bright, that when that moment, when it arrives, there is no spark, there is no ember left inside of us. And the only biggest advice I could say to anyone in this entire world is just burn bright, even if you don't last the night.
Great. And the one everyone loves is number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you? How do we follow you? What should we do next?
I'm much more active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Abhi, Abhi with an I. And other than that, I would be mostly be seen around film circuits and film festivals in and around Vancouver. So if you come around, that's one of my biggest place to find me. Other than that, people can reach out to me at ab25hope@gmail.com, and that's my main place where I post most of my stuff, which is on Instagram, Abby with an I.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining, Abby. I took you as a recommendation, and super great to hear your kind of depth of the story and your personal experiences and how those kind of reflect and refract against the way that we live our lives. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having. It was a wonderful experience.
Thanks.